Hello guys, it's Chris from daxtrader.co.uk, and this is the third of 3 videos to discuss different strategies for using the RSI Expert Advisor. So the previous video was discussing the trend arrow indicator, which is available on the website, and that utilizes a moving average cross combined with RSI to provide an arrow that tells you what trend you're in. And on the charts in front of us here, we're looking at 1 minute data. It's not really recommended you do that, but it's just for the purpose of the video. Okay, so this video, we're going to actually look at different RSI settings. So for example, if you are particularly drawn to want to use the 1 minute charts, it would probably be worth your while changing the RSI settings that you're using. Okay, so and to do that, it might be worth explaining a little bit about RSI. You probably know how this works already, but if you're choosing a 14 period RSI, what is it actually doing? What is it telling you? Well, I guess what it's doing is it's comparing the current candle against the previous 13, okay, to create an average of how strong prices moved relative to the current candle, or how strong the current candle has moved relative to previous price, should I say. Now, that's great on a higher time frame, such as like daily charts, because there's a lot of data that goes into a single daily candle, and a 14 period daily RSI has, I can't do the maths, but a lot of different minutes of data included in there. If you consider there's 1,400 odd minutes in a day, and over 2 weeks, that's a lot of different pieces of data. But using a 14 period RSI on 1 minute data is going to provide a lot of noise, a lot of false signals, and it's just not going to be particularly great. So an idea that you can do is you can change the RSI settings so it has a higher number of periods, and you might already know this, and if you do, don't worry too much more about the video. But using a higher RSI or higher period RSI would smooth out some of that noise and just take into account a larger number of previous candles as well. So you might be able to get some more consistent signals from just using the standard 14. Now, I've been trying a number of different types of periods, and I've been sticking to the Fibonacci sequence of numbers, because otherwise you could just be putting your finger in the air and guessing and hoping for the best, going for round numbers like 100 or 50 or whatever. But the Fibonacci sequence is as good as any. And for 1 minute data, I've taken a preference to using 55 periods. It's a bit of a strange number, I know, but it's one of the Fibonacci sequences. So if we just go and change that to 55 periods, just clicked on Parameters tab to get that. You can see that it smooths things out quite a lot. So quite a lot of movement if you look at it visually, but of course it's only 1 minute data, so it actually hasn't moved a huge amount. And you can see it kind of just smooths out the line here. Same for this one. If you take the RSI on this GWP USD, look how much that's been moving around. But if you just change that up to 55 periods, it's going to smooth that out completely. Okay, so you would have actually got into a trade here. It would have bought there and not entered any other trades since, and you'd have done quite well on the face of it. I mean, it's 1 minute data, so it's probably not a huge amount, but well, actually no, it's not too bad. It's about 60 pips. You would have risked maybe 10, and you would have got yourself 67 pips so far. So it's not too bad. I mean, that's just a lucky example, but it tends to just provide slightly more consistent figures. Right. We already know that we can change the overbought, the oversold levels, but really it's the periods that will determine how much noise gets included into your trading. So if you want to use a lower time frame, like a 1 minute or a 5 minute chart, even 15 minutes arguably, you might want to look at considering changing the number of periods that you're using to a higher amount. And make it relative to the time frame you're using. So don't use the same settings on a 1 minute chart that you would do on a 15 minute chart. Same as don't use the same settings that you do on 15 to a 4-hour chart, and similar as it goes. And you might just want to play around with it, do a little bit of back testing just to see what settings fit your trading style and see whether there's any weight in actually changing those. And that's kind of it really. So overall, in the last 3 videos, we've taken a look at different settings for moving averages to work out trends. We've used the trend arrow indicator that also incorporates a moving average cross. And we've looked at changing the RSI settings to smooth out some of the noise on the lower time frames. I hope the indicators and the expert advisors are useful for you. Hopefully you'll be able to find some settings that will work for your trading. There is no one size fits all, but it's certainly a useful piece of software, so hopefully it's quite lucrative and you can make yourself some decent money. Best of luck trading, and I'll be back with you again soon.